A Homeland Security Officer has been charged with murder. Today on Rational Lunatic Media, coming to you directly from Rational Lunatic himself, as always. Before we get started, I just want to apologize. I do know some of my videos have been coming out a little more distorted than others. I was able to get a hold of some headphones with a little mic. I hope this is better and at least bearable enough for y'all to stick around until I can upgrade my devices. It is a work in progress, but it is something I am working on doing. So, with that being said, please hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all my fresh content. If you're on TikTok, as always, and this video goes past 10 minutes, jump over to YouTube where you can catch all my content there. You can also catch it on my Patreon, which is linked in my YouTube, as well as for members only, you can get my Not Safe for Life content. That's $5 a month for members only. It's way worse cops and judges and officials doing way more heinous things that you should want to know. At least I think you should want to know, but I do understand some people don't have the stomach to listen to those types of stories. So that's only for members, $5 a month. And with that being said, let's get into this one, shall we? This report is coming from Minute Daily News. Read to you by yours truly, Rational Lunatic, as always. A Homeland Security Officer has been charged with one victim identified. A Homeland Security Officer has been charged with Class AA felony murder and Class A felony attempted murder after a shooting on Christmas Eve that left one man dead and a woman in critical condition. Minute police have identified the deceased victim as Nicholas Van Pelt, 41. Daniel Brejo, age 39, Shiri, was arrested in relation to the incident and made his initial appearance before District Judge Gary Lee on Tuesday. Every courtroom bench was filled Tuesday by the victim's family, friends, law enforcement, and court personnel standing in the aisles and wings. Lee said at the beginning of the hearing that all of the district's judges would be recusing themselves from the case due to their familiarity with the alleged victims, which means they pretty much all saying, if I preside over this case, I'm not going to be able to have an unbiased judgment on this man. They knew the victims and the victims' families, and they don't want to judge that man's case. That's pretty harsh. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, Lee said a judge from outside the district would be assigned to the case and noted the victims had active roles in local court and law enforcement communities. Deputy State's Attorney Tiffany Surgeon said that the county's prosecutors would also be recusing themselves from the case after the hearing for much of the same reasons, including that she and her office had familiarity with Brejo himself in his capacity as a Homeland Security Officer. According to court documents, Minute police officers were called to a Southwest Minute apartment complex after receiving reports of a shooting shortly before 9 p.m. on Sunday. 6 shots were reported by a neighbor who called in the shooting, and 2 further shots were audible during the call. Officers arrived on the scene on the 4th floor of the building to the sound of a woman screaming for help. Officers began speaking with the female victim and forced entry into the apartment. The affidavit of probable cause said officers found Van Pelt in a hallway near the front door. The female victim was found lying in the laundry room, while Brejo was found in a bathroom. Brejo was observed on his knees with his hands in the air and a black handgun on the ground next to him. The male victim was pronounced dead at the scene, and the female victim is currently receiving treatment for serious injuries in the intensive care unit at Trinity Hospital, according to Sorgan. Brejo was arrested and held in custody at the Ward County Jail. Sorgan battled her emotions while making the state's bond recommendations, acknowledging Brejo's lack of criminal history but highlighting the seriousness of the alleged crime. She noted Brejo had been belligerent while in custody and had assaulted a correctional officer, resulting in a third-class C felony charge. Sorgan requested a bond of $5 million cash or corporate surety. Quote, "There are children that have been left without a father, and other children whose mother has been in the hospital for Christmas Day. Never mind that there are numerous members of our community who are absolutely rocked by the matter and who might be in danger due to Mr. Brejo's actions," Sorgan said. Brejo's attorney, Jesse Wallstad of Bismarck, appeared virtually for the hearing and made the case that such a bond was inappropriate given his client's lack of criminal history and established ties in the community. Wallstad further stated his client had voluntarily allowed himself to be taken into custody. Lee said a substantial bond was required given the nature of the charges in the case. He ordered a cash bond of $2 million, calling the requested $5 million unobtainable. $2 million is much easier to get a hold of. Quote, "I've reviewed the affidavit of probable cause. He was in the apartment where the alleged crime took place, armed with a pistol when law enforcement arrived. Absent a shootout at the OK Corral, surrendering was his only option. As a federal law enforcement officer, he's expected to behave far more responsibly than all of the others," Lee said. Lee and Sorgan also discussed a no-contact order, which will be expanded to include the family and children of the victims shortly after the holidays. Further court dates were scheduled by Lee for the sake of advancing the case, as he noted they were likely to be rescheduled to accommodate the outside judge and special prosecutor to be assigned by the North Dakota Supreme Court. A Marcy's law declaration has been made, and the female victim's name is being withheld. That's, see, I thought when they said the courtroom was filled with friends, family of the victims, and officers, I thought it meant, friends and family of the victims, but I thought the officers that were filling the courtroom up and prosecutors and judges were on the alleged shooter's side, right? But it sounds like he was in there by himself with a courtroom full of not only friends, family, and loved ones, but judges, prosecutors, and other officials not on his side that want to see him burn for this. They don't really give a lot of detail into what happened exactly, but I'm sure that's because it's an ongoing, probably an ongoing investigation in some ways. But because it's an ongoing matter, and they may not want to, put it out there in the media too much, because depending on how he pleads, if it does go to trial, they want to have as unbiased of a jury as possible, and it's hard to do that when you let the media run wild with the story before a man's found guilty or a woman is found guilty. So I imagine that's probably why there's not a lot of detail into everything that happened. But yeah, that's wow, intense, kind of crazy. Homeland Security Officer charged with murdering, I'm guessing, another officer, or at least someone that has family that are cops and is, a familiar member and a well-respected and loved member within the officer community. So yeah, he's gonna have a hard time fighting that one. But as always, if there's more information on this case in the near future, I will do my best to keep up on it. And if you made it, then you made it till the end. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, if you haven't done it yet, hit that like and subscribe button. I really hope this video's, my latest ones aren't too distorted. I'm hoping this mic helps, at least a little bit until I can get something a little bit better. And yeah, man, wild stuff. But until the next time, y'all, stay good, stay free, and more importantly, stay wild.